So with me covering the big Godzilla crossover last time, and the new Spiders and Magic reboot coming out, I've decided to take a quick break from crossovers. In fact, for this review, we will be leaving the sunny shores of Fanfiction and traveling to the badlands of DeviantArt. This is Adventures in Equestria. In the kingdom of Mayhem, a boy named Mezmo Mandrake wants to be a wizard, but not just any wizard, the king and queen's personal court mage. Unfortunately, he kinda sucks at magic, and not even the best tutors in town can help him. Fortunately, the king likes Mezmo and wants to give him one last shot, so he sends the boy hundreds of miles away to be taught by the element of magic herself, Twilight Sparkle. From there, it's your typical slice of life episodic fanfic, featuring the adventures of Mezmo, the main six, and, occasionally, Mezmo's two mates from back home. So, let's talk positives. This story manages to emulate the charm and optimistic tone of the original series fairly well. All the cast members and the interactions with each other feel true to the show. Even when they introduce more human characters and concepts, the MLP feeling still remains intact. I also think this story has a lot of creativity. At first, I thought this would be a simple retelling of the original series, but with Mezmo in the background. But the authors go out of their way to continuously add fresh and interesting characters. You get everything from professional monster hunters, to Vinyl Scratch's college band, to even an undead witch. I really got the sense that the authors prioritized world building, and it was cool to see what an expanded Equestria looked like. Unfortunately, despite the charm and creativity on display, Adventures in Equestria never clicked with me. When I started getting bored a few chapters in, I decided that I would give it 20 chapters to win me over before throwing in the towel for good. Spoiler alert, it didn't. So why did I find it uncompelling? There are three main reasons. First, Adventures in Equestria is written with the intent of being an audio play, but not just any audio play, an audio play that loves its musical numbers. I have nothing against audio plays or musical numbers, but reading the bare script for one feels like eating cereal without milk. It's still edible, but it's not as fulfilling as the intended experience. Second, Mezmo feels very underwhelming as a main character. For starters, his quest has zero urgency. Get good at magic or you can't come home. To which Mezmo seems to shrug off without much concern. Also, there's no time limit or anything, no Dark Lord to fight, no prophecy to fulfill. No, just get good on your own time. Whatever. Then, the story throws a curveball by establishing that Mezmo's true passion is actually music, and that his dream is to become a composer. Hey, it's nice to see he's got multiple interests, but doesn't this render his quest to be kind of pointless? Now I know what some of you clever clogs might be thinking. Maybe the get good at magic quest is actually a red herring. Since magic is friendship, maybe his true quest is actually to get good at friendship. You know, to discover himself, to become a better person, like all the MLP protagonists. Except, not really. No, that's not really the case here. He starts the story with two good friends, of which he has a healthy and stable relationship with. He then immediately befriends the main six with no difficulty, and during his welcome party, he sorts out a problem between the CMC and Diamond Tiara without breaking a sweat. Yeah, Mezmo doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's in desperate need of a friendship lesson. When you break it down, Mezmo's only real issues are that he's clumsy with magic, he suffers from poor self-esteem because of said clumsiness, and he has a tendency to depend on magic as an easy shortcut. Let's talk about that last one for a minute. When Mezmo moves into his new house in Ponyville and he doesn't have the funds for his first payment, he straight up hypnotizes the landlord so that he leaves him alone. Scenes like this suggest that Mezmo might be the kind of guy who's willing to take reckless shortcuts in pursuit of short-term goals, which is a very fitting trait for a young and inexperienced wizard to have. This trait is reinforced later when, in order to catch a suspected jewel thief, he casts a gotta go fast spell on himself, only to run straight into a wall. See, stuff like that is funny. It makes for a more entertaining character. However, I don't feel like the authors capitalize on this trait nearly enough. In fact, Mezmo feels more like a side character most of the time. He spends many of the episodes on the sidelines, watching the plot happen and occasionally providing exposition or sarcastic comments. To put it briefly, he lacks both urgency and agency. The third reason this story doesn't work for me is that I don't think it's very good at the whole conflict or drama part. As I was reading, I felt like many of the episodes were missing something. Whether that be a compelling conflict, character development, a satisfying conclusion, something always felt off. So let's rattle off a few examples. So there's this chapter where the main six discover that Mezmo's cat can talk. And Mezmo's like, geez man, if anyone else in Ponyville discovers this, it might just send the whole town into a panic. So they go see the princesses, and they're like, hey, good news, bucko. We have a convenient spell that hides his speech to those who don't know that he can speak. And poof, there you go. Okay, two things. Ponyville is a town that's been invaded by Nightmare Moon, Discord, Cerberus, and a swarm of hungry marshmallows. Do you really think one talking cat is gonna throw them off the edge? I'm not really feeling the stakes there. And second, even if it was enough to throw them into a panic, why not write that chapter instead? That would be hilarious! A cynical cat messing with the residents of Ponyville? Shoot, I want to go write that story right now. It sounds awesome. Talk about wasted potential. Okay, in another chapter, Rainbow Dash decides to join a crew of sailors on a trip to Saddle Arabia. Finally, a proper adventure. Maybe they'll run into a band of pirates, or a giant sea monster. Maybe they'll find an ancient relic, or have to lift an evil curse. This could be an epic, multi-chapter story. At least it could have been. Instead, she gets mistaken for a belly dancer and is roped into doing a little jig for Sultan. And then she goes home. All those new characters and fresh new locales, and that's all you get. Cool. And there's this other chapter where Mezmo's buddies from back home go on a road trip, and then they run into some gypsies. That's cool. But a ghost is wreaking havoc in some nearby woods. Are these characters gonna have to team up and use all of their knowledge to defeat this phantom? Sure. But not after two ponies in black show up out of nowhere who conveniently know what this ghost is and how to defeat it, delivering exposition in excruciating detail that derails the plot and kills any sense of mystery or suspense. So close, so close. Hey, you remember that landlord that Mezmo hypnotized? Well, in another episode, he's like, hey, wait a second. You just pulled a fast one on me. If you don't get me my rent by the end of the week, you're out. So the boy wizard has to get a job. He tries being a waiter, but he uses magic inappropriately and screws it up. He then tries babysitting, but he uses magic inappropriately and screws it up. So, how does he solve this problem? Well, he starts by wallowing in self-pity, and then Final Scratch pops up out of nowhere and is like, hey, I'm opening up a record store. Cool, can I have a job? Sure. The end. So, here's the lesson, kiddos. If you're having trouble keeping down a job, instead of reflecting on your past behavior and making appropriate changes so that you are now employable, just keep asking people until you find one person who's too lazy to ask for a resume, and everything will just work out. Now, not all the chapters fall flat. There's this one about a monster hunter that I thought was kind of cool. And there was one about Vinyl's college band that was kind of a fun little story that hits all the right beats. However, episodes like these are the exceptions, not the rule. Overall, I feel a little disappointed by Adventures in Equestria. I love the tone and creativity, but the audio play format, the underwhelming main character, and the lackluster adventures really drag it down for me. It's possible that it gets better past the first 20 chapters, and if you are a fan, please let me know if it does. But here's the thing. When I force myself to read something that I'm just not into, I only get more resentful and I actively start to look for things to nitpick. For example, can you guess the name of Mezmo's sassy black cat? Salem. Seriously, come on. Sabrina the Teenage Witch isn't that old. Even has the same personality and backstory. And wait. Same backstory, same name, same personality. Wait, is this supposed to be the same Salem from the TV show? Then that would mean that this story is technically a crossover. Got me again, son of a